My brother lost a bet and handed me over to his archenemy as a kept canary. One door away from the room, I could hear Lucas Smith and his friends sneering loud and clear, "Beauty trap. More like an ugly trap. Michael's a big, brainless oaf. Just wait till his sister shows. You'll see how I play her to death." Me? Get PUAD by her? Ha. Not happening. I pushed the door open and lifted my chin. Lucas Smith drew a long breath. P stands for protect, U for understand, A for accompany. Right, where was I just now? Silence rippled through the room. I stood there, nerves drumming, replaying my brother's warning. "Lily, you have to be careful once you're there. That Lucas, he's vicious, twisted, barely human. Just endure it for now. When I've got the money, I'll come bring you home." He'd been sitting on the hospital bed, leg in a cast, face bruised black and blue, eyes shining with tears. The more I thought about it, the more my courage shrank. But there was a problem. With so many people here, which one was Lucas? I scanned the room. A man lounged in the corner, draped over a sofa with effortless poise. It had to be him, right? I crept closer. Are you Lucas Smith? "Hello, I'm Michael Brown's sister. Lily Brown." Trying to please, I added with a smile, "No wonder you're young President Smith. You do have presence." Someone snorted behind me. "James, she thinks you're Lucas." "Not him?" Panic flashed through me, and I turned to bow apologies to the speaker. He wore gold-rimmed glasses, all cunning calculation. Was he Lucas, then? I smiled again, mortified. "Sorry, young President Smith. My eyes were playing tricks on me." He only laughed harder. A sudden grip closed on my wrist, the world tilted, and I found myself dropping into someone's lap. Hard thigh muscle under me, heat pulsing, all strength and restraint. I looked up and met a pair of shadowy black eyes. Displeasure carved his face, his voice came out glacial. "Just like your coward of a brother, every word out of your mouth makes people dislike you. You can't even recognize your patron. Got a death wish? In truth, my brother isn't as worthless as Lucas makes him sound. He's a good brother. He built himself up from nothing and has always spoiled me. His luck with investments was the problem, that's how he lost everything to Lucas. That day he knelt for ages, begging Lucas to spare us, banging his head till it bled. The pampered second gen was merciless. Can't pay? Then pay me in people." Horrified, my brother clutched his rear and stammered that he was straight and needed time for mental prep. Lucas's face went dark. He kicked my brother's leg. "Michael, do you have crap for brains?" One kick, and my brother's leg broke. Lucas didn't pay a cent. He doubled the humiliation by ordering my brother to report as a security guard the next day to work off the debt. But with a shattered leg, how could he even walk to work? It was impossible by design. Miss a single day, and the interest doubled again. My brother was on the brink. I couldn't watch him die. With no choice, I took this path. Now that I'd met Lucas, I knew my brother hadn't lied. Lucas is all looks and a volcanic temper. With a petty man like this, I'd need every ounce of vigilance going forward. I went home with Lucas. We said nothing on the drive. I kept thinking he was still mad about my mistake. Carefully, I reached out and tugged his sleeve. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to mistake you. Don't touch me." He yanked his jacket hem away in disgust. Message received, Lucas truly loathed me. Butler Uncle Chris came hurrying up. "Young master, this lady is?" Lucas bit down on his cigarette and slanted me a glance. "A canary. You know what that is?" Seeing Uncle Chris's bafflement, he added, impatient, "Old man, you don't even know this? Something delivered as collateral for a debt. A plaything. Got it now?" I stood there, mortified, fingers nodding and a-nodding. Uncle Chris's color changed. He leaned in and whispered to Lucas, "Young master, any such contract is void, against public order and personal liberty. And besides, this woman is far too pretty. Aren't you afraid her brother has some scheme?" They plotted as if I weren't there at all. I waved both hands, earnest. "My brother and I have no scheme. We truly want to repay the debt." Lucas narrowed his eyes. "Uncle Chris, I disagree, she's pretty, but you did remind me. Ready the guest room. She'll stay there. I want to see what tricks this woman has." Hearing I didn't have to share a room with Lucas, I let out a breath I'd been holding. My clenched fingers loosened without my noticing. Lucas caught the tiny move. He snorted and turned away. For the next few days, Lucas didn't appear. He neither assigned me tasks nor issued any special orders. This canary, supposedly working off a debt, became a freeloader instead. I grew restless. Afraid he'd nitpick out of the blue, I found chores myself. Today I helped Sister Mia in the garden. Tomorrow I'd lend a hand to Aunt Sophia in the kitchen. Another day and Uncle Chris might as well put me on the rota. Luckily, I settled in fast, everyone liked me. Even Uncle Chris, who'd first suspected my motives, began to praise me without stint. Miss Brown is lovely, quick with her hands, eyes sharp to the work, no fuss at all. Sister Mia clutched my hand. I hear you trained as a preschool teacher? Do you have a boyfriend? If not, I've a cousin doing a PhD at Capital University, proper scholar, you'd be a match. Sister Mia and the rest didn't know my awkward status. They assumed, as with them, I was hired help drawing a wage. Aunt Sophia brought hometown snacks to my room. Miss Brown, you're 5'7" and barely 100 pounds, that's too thin. This is a private supper I made you. Don't worry, the young master will never notice. I was deeply moved. The first day panic melted away. I texted my brother, told him not to worry. Here, everyone treated me well, everyone but Lucas. At night, Sister Mia's little girl begged me for bedtime stories. While Lucas was away, she kept sneaking into my bed. She even shared most of her gummy bears with me, watching with big pleading eyes. My heart turned to marshmallow. We lay cheek to cheek on the covers, reading picture books together. Summer nights simmered with heat. My silk camisole skirted my shoulders. As I pointed at the drawings, a strap slid down without my noticing. The neckline shifted with my breathing, revealing more than it should. Abruptly, a whiff of alcohol. A man's voice, tight with anger, sounded at my side. Mary, you've grown bold. This is my room. Will you walk out yourself, or shall I throw you out? The little girl jumped, bolted like she'd seen a ghost, forgot her fairy tale, and fled screaming. I scrambled up too. Though we were facing off, Lucas's eyes were the first to dart away. Lily Brown, the tulips in the garden, did you tell them to swap them for Chinese crabapple? Huh? I blinked, baffled. All I remembered was telling Sister Mia in passing that crabapple blossoms meant good fortune and looked prettier in bloom. And I never eat cilantro. Why did it appear in the kitchen like some nauseating weed? That had been in the tiny wontons Aunt Sophia made for me, not for Lucas. I kept quiet. But he already knew these changes traced back to me. Irritation nearly spilled from his brows. Here a few days and you've turned the whole house upside down. Manipulative to the core. Lucas has a mop of soft curls and glistening droopy eyes, with 2 faint tear moles at the end of the right one. Angry, he looks like a bristling puppy. I was gone 4 whole days and you didn't send a single message. Why aren't other people's canaries like this? Did you move in just to tell Mary bedtime stories? His words made my stomach dip. My brother had, in fact, sent me Lucas's contact. But I'd been so busy helping out that I'd forgotten all about it. I'm sorry, baby. I edged closer. The instant my arm slid round him, Lucas's body went rigid. I pressed the advantage, softening my voice to soothe and coax. It's my fault. You're my creditor, the one I should be thinking of and pleasing. Then, lying without a draft, I asked Sister Mia to change the flowers so you'd come home to a fresh, bright mood. I've been testing new dishes to cook for you. The cilantro was only a garnish. I did all of it for you. Even when you're away, I wait for you every day. Do you really think that? His expression finally eased. He lowered his gaze. Then flinched as if scalded, eyes darting aside, a few rough words tumbling out of his throat. Ugly nightgown. Looks like a scrap of cloth. No taste. I smiled, eyes crescenting. Then next time I'll wear the kind baby likes, okay? He hadn't expected me to take everything without a peep. His anger and nitpicks sank like fists into cotton. I didn't give him the satisfaction of a fight. Right before him, I opened the big orange shopping app on my phone. Nightwear came in all flavors. Less fabric, bolder cuts, from inky black satin to soft blush pink, anything you could want. Whether from anger or something else, a thin blush crept from Lucas's ears down his neck. His Adam's apple bobbed, he lifted a hand. Then, just get the top-selling one. When the package arrived, I texted Lucas, get home early tonight. Dinner's ready. I'll be waiting, moi. He went quiet a moment. Then the messages came like a barrage. Lily, did the sun rise in the west? You actually texted me first. Heh. Don't tell me you're smitten. What do you mean, get home early? Your possessiveness is getting out of hand. Since you're trying so hard to please me, I'll give you face and come home to eat. By the way, did that lingerie set arrive? Answer me. Why aren't you replying, trying to hook me? I set down my phone and looked helplessly at Uncle Chris. Does Lucas treat his previous canaries like this too? The daily discipline of a canary tamer. My brother lost a bet and pawned me off to his archrival as a canary. Just outside the door, only a panel of wood between us. Lucas Smith's mocking voice drifted out, crisp as a slap. A honey trap? More like an ugly trap. Michael Brown is a thick-necked idiot. Wait till his sister gets here. Watch me play her to death. Me? Get pooed by her? Ha. Not a chance. The instant I pushed the door open, I lifted my chin. Lucas Smith drew a deep breath. P stands for protect, U for understand, A for accompany. Right, where was I just now? Silence rolled through the room. I stood there, nerves jangling, heart pounding like a drum, and heard my brother's warning in my head. Lily, you must be careful when you get there. That Lucas is vicious, twisted, barely human. Just bear with it. When I have the money, I'll come get you out. He'd been sitting on the hospital bed then, leg in a cast, face bruised, eyes brimming. The more I thought about it, the more I trembled. One problem, though. With so many people here, who was Lucas? I swept the room with my eyes. A man slouched in the corner sofa, lazy and self-possessed. He had presents to spare. It had to be him, right? Cautiously, I approached. Are you Lucas? Hello, I'm Michael Brown's sister, Lily Brown. I even tacked on a flattering smile. No wonder they call you young President Smith. You really do have an aura. Someone behind me snorted. James, she thinks you're Lucas. Not him? I blanched and bobbed apologies to the speaker. He wore rimless gold glasses, calculating and clever. Was he actually Lucas? I pasted on another smile. My apologies, young President Smith. I had no eye for jade and mistook you. He laughed even louder. A grip snapped around my wrist. The room spun, and I tumbled into someone's lap. The man's thigh was solid and hot, all coiled strength. I tipped my head up and met a pair of shadowed black eyes. Displeasure cut across his face, his voice came off glacial. Just like your pathetic brother, every word out of your mouth is annoying. You can't even recognize your patron. Do you have a death wish? In truth, my brother isn't as worthless as Lucas says. He's a good brother. He built himself from nothing and spoiled me along the way. He just had rotten luck with investments, so he lost everything to Lucas. That day he knelt for ages, begging Lucas to spare our family. He split his forehead open on the floor. The feckless second-generation prince had no mercy. If you can't pay, pay in people. Terrified, my brother clapped both hands over his backside and stammered that he was straight and needed time to build mental readiness. Lucas's face went dark. He kicked my brother's leg. Michael, are you full of crap, or just brainless? That single kick broke his leg. Lucas not only refused compensation, he humiliated him, ordering him to report the next day to work security at his company to pay down the debt. But my brother couldn't even walk. How was he supposed to work? It was deliberate torment. Miss a single day and the interest doubled. He was close to breaking. I couldn't watch him die. With no choice left, I took the only path open. Seeing Lucas now, I realized my brother hadn't lied. Lucas is all surface, with a vicious temper underneath. With someone this petty, I'd need every nerve on alert. I went home with Lucas. We rode in silence. I could feel he was still stewing over what happened. Tentatively, I reached out and tugged his sleeve. Sorry. I didn't mean to mistake you. Don't touch me. He yanked his jacket hem away, disgust plain as day. Message received, Lucas truly despised me. The butler, Uncle Chris, came hurrying up. Young master, and this is? A cigarette at his lip, Lucas slanted me a look. A canary. You know what that is? Seeing confusion shadow Uncle Chris's face, he clicked his tongue and elaborated, impatient, old man, you don't even know that. The kind that gets delivered to pay off a debt. A toy. Got it now? Awkward, I stood there picking at my fingers. Uncle Chris's expression shifted. He leaned in to murmur, young master, a contract like that is void. It violates public order and personal liberty. And besides, this woman is too pretty. Aren't you worried her brother's running a scheme? They whispered as if I weren't there at all. I waved both hands, rushing to explain, my brother and I have no scheme. We truly intend to repay the money. Lucas's eyes narrowed. Uncle Chris, while I don't agree she's pretty, you did remind me. Ready the guest room. She'll stay there. I want to see what tricks this woman thinks she has. Not having to share a room with Lucas. I let out a hidden breath. The fists I'd been clenching loosened on their own. Unfortunately, he caught that tiny tell. He snorted and turned away. For the next few days, Lucas didn't show up again. He gave me no duties and no special instructions. This debt-paying canary became a freeloader. I got antsy. Afraid he'd suddenly pick a fight, I found chores myself. Today I helped Sister Mia in the garden. Tomorrow I took a turn as Aunt Sophia's extra pair of hands in the kitchen. I was one step from asking Uncle Chris to add me to the rota. Luckily, I fit in fast. Everyone liked me. Even wary old Uncle Chris, who started singing my praises. Miss Brown is lovely, quick with her hands, always sees what needs doing, never the least bit precious. Sister Mia clasped my fingers. I heard you studied early childhood education? Do you have a boyfriend? If not, I've a cousin doing his doctorate at Capital University, brilliant boy. You'd be a match. None of them knew my awkward status. They assumed I was staff like them, paid for my labor. Aunt Sophia carried hometown snacks to my room. Miss Brown, you're 1.70 meters and only 100 jean, far too thin. This is a little extra, I'm sneaking you. Don't worry, the young master will never notice. I was moved. The first day anxiety evaporated. I texted my brother on the sly. Told him not to worry. Here, everyone treated me well, everyone except Lucas. At night, Sister Mia's daughter begged for bedtime stories. With Lucas away, she'd crawl into my bed most evenings. She even split most of her gummy bears with me, staring up with dewy eyes. My heart went melted marshmallow soft. We lay cheek to cheek, reading picture books. Summer nights run hot. The silk camisole hung off my shoulder. As I pointed at the page, the strap slipped without my noticing. The neckline rose and fell with my breath, revealing more than it hid. Suddenly, alcohol on the air. A man's held-back anger edged his voice at my ear. Mary, you've grown bold. This is my room. Will you walk out, or shall I throw you out? The little girl jolted. At the sight of Lucas she reacted as if she'd seen a ghost, forgot the book and fled screaming. I scrambled up, too. We were face to face, and yet Lucas looked away first. Lily Brown, did you tell them to rip out the tulips and plant Chinese crabapple? Ah? I didn't follow. All I'd done was offhandedly tell Sister Mia that crabapple is an auspicious flower and gorgeous in bloom. And another thing. I never eat cilantro. Why is that vile herb in my kitchen? That had been in the tiny wontons Aunt Sophia made just for me, not for Lucas. I didn't say so. But he'd already put together that these changes traced back to me. Displeasure brimmed at his brows. You've been here a handful of days and already have the whole house dancing to your tune. A schemer, through and through. Lucas has a head of curls and soft, drooping eyes. 2 faint tear moles sit at the tail of his right eye. When he's angry, he's like a bristling pup. I was gone for 4 days and you couldn't send one message. Why are other people's canaries never like this? Did you move in just to tell Mary bedtime stories? His words made my stomach dip. My brother had, in fact, sent me Lucas's contact. But between chores, I'd forgotten it to the moon. Sorry, baby. I stepped closer. The instant my arm looped his shoulder, Lucas went rigid. I pressed the advantage. Softened my voice, coaxing, it was my fault. You're my creditor, the one I should be caring for and winning over. Then, without missing a beat, I spun my tale. I asked Sister Mia to swap the flowers so you'd feel refreshed coming home. I've been testing new dishes too, hoping you'd taste them. The cilantro was only garnish. Everything I've done was for you. Even when you're away, I look forward to you coming back, every day. Do you really think that? His expression finally eased. He lowered his gaze. Then flinched like scalded, eyes skittering aside, and gruffed out, ugly nightdress. Like a scrap of cloth. No taste. I smiled into slits. Then I'll wear whatever you like next time, baby. How about that? He hadn't expected me to accept everything without a single retort. His temper and nitpicks landed like a punch in cotton. They couldn't rile me if they tried. Right in front of him, I opened the big orange shopping app on my phone. Nightwear, I typed. Pages bloomed, less fabric, spicier cuts, black silk to blush pink, name it, they had it. Whether from anger or something else, a flush crept from the tips of Lucas's ears down his neck. His Adam's apple bobbed. He lifted a hand. Jay, just get the top-selling one. The day the package arrived, I texted Lucas, come home early tonight, I've made dinner. I'll be waiting. Kisses. The other end went quiet a beat. Then texts rattled in like firecrackers. Lily, did the sun rise in the west? You actually messaged me first. Heh. Don't tell me you're smitten. Come home early? Your possessiveness is off the charts. Since you're working so hard to please me, I'll give you face, I'll eat at home. By the way, did that nightdress show up? Answer me. Why aren't you replying, stringing me along? I set down my phone and looked helplessly at Uncle Chris. Is Lucas, like this with his previous canaries, too? Uncle Chris stared, startled. How could he be? Our young master hasn't even. Catching himself, he snapped his mouth shut. The young master lives for his work. He barely comes home. Busy as he is, he forgets his own birthday. He has plenty of admirers, but he's never brought a woman back. You're the first. Maybe my recent effort finally lowered his guard. Once he started, Uncle Chris couldn't stop, stories tumbled out in a clatter. Truth is, our young master's a good one, he just talks tough. He calls me old man, sure, but he knows I love anime, buys me figures every birthday. Sister Mia and Aunt Sophia get gifts too, some green ribbon face cream or whatnot. And he's had a head for business since he was small. At 10, he exploited Grandma's fading memory and conned 5 rounds of New Year's money out of her. He's got a childhood friend named Anthony. When they were little, the young master loved treasure hunts at his place, and once found the parents' marriage certificate. That night, Lucas came home to a dark living room. He has night blindness, hates dim rooms, they make him feel unsafe. Lily? Where are you? Silence pressed in. He strode into the living room, his irritation rising. We agreed you'd wait at. The moment every light snapped on, his words died. Roses from Ecuador carpeted the floor, a sea of blues and violets rolling wherever he looked. At the same time, the wall-high windows mirrored fireworks spilling across the night. Gold flared like fallen constellations. Light spun backward in Lucas's wide eyes. He stood there, head tipped back, drinking it in, the corners of his mouth curving despite himself. I stepped out of the shadows, cake in hand. Happy birthday, Lucas. He blinked at me, startled, then schooled his features, feigning cool. Today isn't my birthday. I know. Uncle Chris told me, you remember everyone's birthday except your own. So I wanted to make it up to you. He snorted. Nosy old man. Smiling, I laced my fingers through his stiff ones and led him to the dining room, where a single bowl of longevity noodles waited, along with a few of his favorite dishes. You made all this yourself? When I nodded, his eyes sparked, like a private firework. After dinner, the bathroom door flew open. Steam curled around Lucas as he towel-dried his brown hair. Long fingers, clean knuckles, sun-tinted forearms cut in sharp lines, veins ridged. Water beaded down the grooves of his abs and vanished into the towel's fold. His body was distracting. Feeling my gaze, a flush nipped his ears, though his tone stayed flat. Why are you staring at me like that? I went to him. Brushed a fingertip over a faint scar at his waist. Does it still hurt? The skin tensed under my touch. A long time ago. I barely remember. How did it happen? He turned his face aside, lashes dropping, awkward. Kicked. By a donkey. Your stepmother? So the old man told you that too. I lifted my eyes, serious. Lucas, fragility is allowed to exist. When it hurts, you can say it hurts. When you're sad, you can cry. When you like, say it out loud. Why speak in opposites? Why pretend you don't care? I bowed and kissed the scar. It's okay. Keep talking tough. I'll keep catching those twisted little feelings, until you're ready to show the real you. Heat burned in his dark gaze, as if my words had plucked a hidden string. He suddenly hauled me into his arms. His heartbeat thundered against my ear, breath coming fast. Lily, you're infuriating. The way I treated Michael, doesn't it make you hate me? My answer was gentle but watertight. My brother's bad investments were on him. Debts should be repaid, of course. If it hadn't been you, but someone else, it might have been more than a leg. His heart kicked harder. Thud thud. Thud thud. Like a puppy lost in the garden. I wrapped him up, rising on my toes to hold tight. Do you like it when I hold you like this? Tell me the truth. Silence pooled in the lamplight. After a long moment, he buried his face in my neck and mumbled, yes. Couldn't hear you. I like it when you hold me like this. My smile curled deeper. What else do you like? His gaze dropped to my sheer camisole, a darker heat slid through his eyes. Lucas didn't know I approach problems by planning first and striking later. His little jabs couldn't touch me. From the moment I stepped into this house, I decided to treat this like a job. Lucas was the employer, at heart I was no different from Uncle Chris and the rest. My goal was to lighten my brother's debt, ideally move Lucas to show mercy and leave him a way out, so nothing festers later. Then leave. So far, everything was on track. Make up his birthday, be his emotional ballast, each step targeted the patron's needs, practical items on a clear list. What I hadn't budgeted for was this, the job was also manual labor. The first time, Lucas lasted 10 minutes and ended things in a rush. I thought that would be that. It wasn't. With elaborate patience, and every trick he had, he redeemed his pride. I was the fish in the skillet, flipped and seared until the juices ran clear. At the end, he mimicked my coaxing by my ear, breathless. Lily, did you like that? Tell me the truth. Lily did not know. Lily's back ached, Lily wanted sleep. When I woke, the bed beside me was empty. Outside, to my surprise, the workaholic was home. He was laying into Mary, vicious as a storm. Mary, last warning, don't ever barge into my room again, understood? If I catch you, I'll toss you and that hamster of yours out together. Mary stood there, eyes pink, worrying her fingers. She's a special needs child, development delayed. Temper is one thing, but turning it on a kid? Anger pricked in my chest. I was about to step in, when I heard Lucas sigh. He crouched and clumsily dabbed away her tears. Brat, you're older now. You have to learn to keep your distance from boys. He scrubbed a hand through his curls, searching for simple words for a complicated world. Some boys out there are bad. Just, other than me, and your dad, tell your mom before you play with any boys, okay? She sniffled and nodded. Good. That's my girl. I'll bring you more storybooks. Satisfied, he accidentally smeared a bubble of snot on his hand. Hell. His face twisted. He gagged once, then wiped the tears and snot onto her skirt. The sight was ridiculous and tender at once. For all his brashness, Lucas didn't seem so terrible. Under the growl, there was something soft and true. Once he'd had a taste, Lucas couldn't get enough. Even his days off multiplied. I braced a palm to his chest as he leaned in. Not in daylight. I have to go out. I locked my screen, hiding my brother's message. There's a break. Get to the hospital, fast. First I needed to shake Lucas off. But he was persistent, hunger stamped across his face. What's up? I fussed with my skirt hem, dodging his eyes. A friend asked me to go shopping. He bent, wrapped one warm hand around my ankle, and slid on my shoes and socks. Then he pricked my flimsy lie. You're going to the hospital to see your brother, aren't you? I'll drive you. I froze. I thought you hated him. When I looked up, his eyes were ink dark. I do hate Michael. I don't hate you. I know you two will probably spend the visit plotting to scam me, but don't worry. I'll wait in the hall and won't listen. Hard to refuse that. He was being reasonable. On the way, he asked, you two, close? I nodded. He's my only family. When things were worst, he worked 3 jobs so I could attend the best schools. Lucas went quiet, thoughtful. He did the unthinkable and bought a fruit basket and flowers, setting them by the hospital bed. He even wore a rare, mild expression. Michael, your leg needs rest. If you can't clear the debt soon, we can extend the term. He peeled an apple for him, crooked and clumsy. I said ugly things, and the kick was my fault. I'll bring in specialists and cover every bill until you're discharged. Stiffly, he added, sorry. As soon as the door clicked, my brother grabbed my sleeve. Lucas smiled at me 6 times. He even apologized. Baby sis, this apple's got to be poisoned. I can't eat it. I yanked my sleeve free, disgusted. He glanced toward the hall. When Lucas's footsteps faded, he leaned in and lowered his voice. Lily, if I told you there's a way to wipe out the dead in one stroke, and make Lucas disappear from the world forever, what would you say? My heart lurched. I heard exactly what he meant. After we got home, I drifted in a fog, my brother's make Lucas disappear looping in my mind. Lucas toyed with my fingers, rolling them between his. What did Michael say? You've been somewhere else ever since. Nothing. I pulled my hand back. Just wondering how to pay you off faster. I told you, there's no rush. And that money, there's another way, isn't there? Chin propped on his palm, he stared straight at me, expression unreadable. A chill ran through me. Did he know what my brother wanted me to do? I hesitated on whether to confess. His knuckles tapped the table, a soft warning. Hey, Lily. Don't drift. I jumped back to the present, heart in my throat. What way did you mean? I studied his face. He flushed, then looked away, more like a flustered fool than an accuser. My shoulders eased. He blurted, urgent, do you really not get it, or are you pretending? Or do you just not Lee? Seeing I was still miles away, he cut himself off. For a heartbeat, disappointment shadowed his eyes. He yanked his tie crooked, then let it hang loose, resigned. Forget it. There's time. We'll talk later. Tomorrow afternoon I'm taking you to meet someone. Dress up. Shine. To my surprise, Lucas drove me to the old Smith estate. He led me up to the 2nd floor and stopped at a carved wooden door. He knocked, face softening. Open up, most beautiful woman in the world, Ms. Linda Lee. I'm here to see you. A small, wrinkled hand cracked the door. A silver-haired grandmother peered out. Simons, you've come home. Lucas shot me a helpless smile. Grandma's ill, she gets people mixed up. Simons was my grandfather. He gave up the family business to marry into the Smiths for her. Before he died, she was all he worried about. Grandma Lee suddenly caught my hand. Her palm was warm. And where did this sweet girl come from? Lucas didn't miss a beat, she's Lucas's girlfriend. He promised you, when he found someone he liked, he'd bring her home to meet you. I stared at him. No one told me this was in the job description. He twined our fingers and whispered, my grandmother is the one who loves me most. I wanted her to meet you. But lying like this isn't right. I'm not lying. Before he could finish, Grandma paused, blinking around, confused. Who am I? At once he crouched to bring his eyes level with hers. You're Ms. Linda Lee, the most beautiful woman in the world. And you are? I'm Lucas, your dearest grandson. And she? Patiently he answered, but his gaze turned gentle as it slid to me, more sincerity in it than I'd ever seen. She's Lily. The one I like. The unsaid half-sentence from before finally bloomed into its answer. The world went quiet. I stared at him, stunned. Thud thud. Thud thud. This time it was my heartbeat I heard. Well, if it isn't Lucas back at last. Why didn't you warn your father and me? A woman's silhouette appeared in the doorway. I felt Lucas go taut, all at once, at the sound of her voice. Stone-faced, he walked me out of the room. When we signed, you agreed I could visit. Don't tell me you've forgotten the terms you said in black and white. His stepmother's smile faltered. When she looked at me, a sugary grin spread. Oh, so you're the little thing Lucas keeps outside? Mom's a wonderful cook, why don't you stay for dinner? She reached for my arm. Lucas slapped her hand away with a crack. Julie, watch your mouth. She's my girlfriend. He swallowed his temper. So eager to play mommy, aren't you embarrassed enough by the useless son you've already got rotting in prison? From the instant Julie appeared, I'd noticed Lucas's hand trembling at his side, a reflex, like an old wound flinching. My mind flashed to his scar. I'd thought Lucas was just a pampered young lord, spoiled into a bad temper. I had never considered that all his prickles came from growing up in a world full of malice. Julie's tears fell on command. Lucas, I've been married into your family for so many years, and you still hate me this much. Back then everyone had their difficulties. Your brother has already paid the price for what happened, hasn't he? She truly looked aggrieved, playing the stepmother who gave and never got recognition, while Lucas stood cast as the vicious son of the first wife, hounding her step by step. Hold on, I stepped forward. Ma'am, are you saying Lucas should forgive the people who bullied him back then, and also forgive the bully's mother for marrying into his family as his stepmother? The servants hovering nearby, eavesdropping, gobbled down their first fresh bite of high society scandal and began whispering in shock. I tore off Julie's fig leaf in public. She stared at me, aghast. What are you talking about? I moved to stand in front of Lucas. I couldn't say where the tightness in my chest came from. I didn't care that I was shredding the gentle persona I usually kept before him. You and Lucas's father really are a pair. One of you signed a so-called settlement with his own son's tormentor, the other used the opportunity to crawl into their bed. What do you mean everyone had difficulties? All the difficulty was on Lucas's side. He was just a teenager. Color surged and fled across Julie's carefully maintained face. Not a word came out of her throat. The best thing Lucas ever did was cut ties with you rotten lot. I was getting heated. If you're that free, go knit your precious son some socks. Stop coming out here and making everyone sick. Phew. It felt great to let that out. I disliked her for ages. If Lucas's father had been here today, I'd have cursed the pair of them, father and mistress, together. I rose on my toes and brushed Lucas's shoulder, as if dusting off bad luck. Then I took his hand, and so everyone would hear, I said extra loud, come on. Let's go home. All the way out, Lucas gripped my hand hard. The corners of his downcast eyes flushed with the faintest red. Under nightfall he suddenly stopped, took my face in both hands, and kissed me with urgency. I shut my eyes. My tongue tasted the salt of tears. The muffled sob stuck in his chest made my own heart ache. The puppy cried. But the puppy was happy. From now on, he would have a home. Time slid back to that afternoon. Uncle Chris sat across from me. Once he started talking about Lucas, it was like opening a floodgate. Lucas's mother died giving birth to him. His father was always away with business. At 13, he transferred to a new class and was bullied. His brand-name sneakers were deliberately stomped dirty. Someone slipped cigarette butts into his bag. For no reason other than that his family had money, his grades were excellent, and the teachers and the girls liked him. Treating him that way gave those boys in the back row a sense of superiority. At first Lucas didn't fight back. He didn't even regard that trash as worth noticing. Then they went further, joking about his dead mother. Lucas beat the ringleader into the ICU. So his father was called to the school. The bully's mother knelt and begged him to be magnanimous, weeping pear blossoms, bare shoulder peeking through. Lucas's father cheerfully signed a settlement. He dismissed it as boys being boys, even struck a pose of incomprehensible largesse by agreeing to pay the other boys' medical expenses. Not long after, that woman married into the Smith family and, just like that, became Lucas's stepmother. Funny in a bleak way. Her thin-blessed son, drunk on sudden wealth, made trouble and ended up in prison. Eventually, Lucas broke free of that house and moved into the home his mother left behind. Like a young wolf desperate to stake out his own territory, he helped Anthony manage the family business and, with friends' support, rapidly became a self-reliant rising star. His first deal? He wrested it straight from his biological father. Now the old man's holdings have been eaten away to near nothing, only a last breath left to prop them up. Every step was hard. But Lucas did it. His only regret is that his grandmother is too old and too ill to move back to the ancestral home. At the emotional peak, Uncle Chris turned away, pounding his chest, sobbing. Isn't Doped Bear finished airing? Why, oh why, my young master's life is so bitter. If only I could live to 200. I want to see him happy, I still want to serve the little young master, and the littler young master, boo-hoo-hoo, ah. After that night, something subtle shifted between Lucas and me. I tried to do my canary job as diligently as ever, but, it felt different. Lucas often looked at me with molten warmth, the kind of sticky gaze that clung no matter how you tried to peel it off. Especially when he came home at night, if he saw me waiting on the sofa, he'd grin like he'd gotten a bargain, bolt into the shower at light speed, and then shoulder me off to bed. He didn't even mind my foot in his face, he'd nuzzle closer anyway. I lost my temper. Lucas, you're a dog, aren't you? I am, he admitted shamelessly, then pushed his luck. Lily, just twice tonight, okay? If you agree, then from now on I'll be whatever you say I am. Yes, I'm your father then, I am. The price of twice was that I slept clear into the afternoon and nearly missed the meetup I'd promised Lucas. I hurried over, the room was already packed. Unlike last time, they'd brought their dates. Lucas's eyes curved, he tugged me to the seat beside him and started with introductions. That's when I learned the two I'd misidentified last time were James and Anthony. Today Anthony had come alone. His gaze slid to my face, he shot Lucas a wicked smile. Heard you've been doing strict spot checks. Used to be Lucas would bail on nights out in a rush. He said he'd get back at you by spending money to corrode your willpower, treating you well to fog your mind. Told us to butt out, that it was part of his plan. When did I ever spot check Lucas? I glanced at him, puzzled. Flustered, he looked away. Alright, cut it out. Why aren't the dishes we ordered here yet? Paula's tongue was as poisonous as ever. What now, little lord? Did you forget, you're not the center of the universe? Mike snorted. What else? Didn't he tell us? He moves at his own pace. I more or less understood, to save face, he'd told a few lies, about me. Lucas threw a pleading look at James, older than the rest, hoping for a lifeline. James spoke, voice level, they're telling the truth. We girlfriends had a lovely time chatting. We even traded a few tricks on handling patrons. If the language baseline is strong, actions don't need to be. If actions are solid, words don't have to be. If both are basic, up the intensity for your patron. When the meal ended, we swapped WeChats. Chloe suggested, hey, let's make a group. Monica nodded. Give it a ritzy name. I'm superstitious. What should we call it? I thought, then typed, the Diamond-Studded Wulong Landlords Guild. On the way home, Lucas rushed to explain. That spot check thing, I made it up. Back when we'd just met, everyone else got sweet texts during hangouts. Only me, my phone stayed dark. A couple of times, when they pushed me, I started spinning stories, pretending you'd messaged me. Lily, I was wrong. Please don't be mad. I used the whine for courage and jabbed back, Lily, you're the patron. How could I dare be mad at you? He froze. Do you still think we're that kind of thing? I don't even want your brother's money anymore. That kind of contract is illegal. If you want to leave, you can, anytime. And what I said in front of Grandma that day, it was true. He hadn't had a drop, yet he sounded drunker than I was, rambling, Lily, I like you. Only you. I want you to be my girlfriend, and I want to marry you. Just picturing you waiting for me, dozing under that little lamp, my heart fills to the brim. Even if knives were falling outside, nothing could keep me from hurrying home. By the end his voice dropped, trembling. Could you, please don't leave me? I frowned and stayed silent for a long moment. Then, blorg, I crouched by the curb and puked. Lucas disappeared somewhere and came back with water. He patted my back, held the bottle to my lips, and even wiped my mouth clean. No hint of disgust, only worry. He squatted down in front of me. Get on. I made a point of staying put. The world flipped, he simply swung my legs over his arms. His steps were steady, unhurried, as if he wished the road would stretch longer. Head against his back, listening to his heartbeat, I said softly, Lucas, starting now, let's play a game. No matter what I say, you have to answer if you don't, you lose. He dropped into character, happy to indulge my silly little game. Lucas, your heart's racing. Is it because you like me? Lucas, are you a dog? Lucas, I really want sweet rice wine dumplings from that shop in the south of the city. Lucas, living alone all those years must have been hard. Lucas. I paused. Be my boyfriend. His back went bored stiff. He stood there for a very long time. He sniffed and answered, very small, okay. Lily, I lost. My sudden confession went straight to Lucas's head. He lit up like a live wire. It was nearly dawn by the time he carried me home on his back. He insisted on heading across town to buy those rice wine dumplings. I couldn't stop him. He ended up soothing me instead, they're open 24 hours. Don't worry, I'll drive myself. Quick trip there and back. My girlfriend is getting her dumplings. But once Lucas left, I kept waiting until sunrise. Noon came, and still no sign of him. A bad feeling swelled and swelled. Then my brother called. Gloating, he crowed, "Sis. Great news. Heaven's eyes are open, Lucas is in trouble. Get to the hospital, quick." Ending. My mind went blank. I tore into the hospital and straight to my brother's ward. "Michael, are you insane? I told you I don't agree to that method. Why would you do something like this? You'd kill for a debt? Are you even my brother?" I hurled one accusation after another, hands and feet ice cold, whole body numb. Memory snapped back to last month. My brother had told me, all mysterious, that someone had reached out, knew about his grudge with Lucas, and wanted to use him to get rid of Lucas. All my brother had to do was tinker with Lucas's car. Everything else had been taken care of. If Lucas crashed, no one would ever trace it back to Michael. The whole thing smelled wrong. I'd refused flatly. Anyone who's watched enough crime dramas knows, killing takes both guts and brains. First, my brother had neither. Second, if you owe money, you find a way to repay it, you don't break the law. And most important of all, I had realized, deep down, I didn't want Lucas to disappear from this world. I couldn't say when exactly my heart had turned toward him, but when the answer runs counter to cold logic, that's proof enough. Michael stared, baffled, as I ranted. He opened his mouth, then saw my tears pattering down. "Do you know Lucas already wiped your debt? I agreed to be his girlfriend. He's your brother-in-law now." "Michael, you murderer." He gaped. "Bro-in-law who? You two are dating? Why didn't you tell me?" He completely missed the part about the debt being cleared, blinded by the rage of a man whose home has been invaded. "So that little brat had his eye on you all along. I never should have saved him, better if he'd croaked." I wiped my face. Stared a second. Finally, I caught up. "What did you say? Lucas isn't dead?" "Of course not. Why would I kill him?" Michael slammed his fist into the mattress. "Mess with his car? Am I an idiot? My sister could have been in that car. Let him die if he wants, but what if he dragged you down with him? I just used Lucas as bait." "What? My brother had grown a brain?" I was impressed. "Used Lucas to lure out the mastermind. Then I sold that person's info back to him and used that as the condition to wipe the debt and get you out. That was my real plan. And guess who contacted me?" I already had a hunch. Sure enough, the name he said matched my guess. His stepmother, Julie. All the recordings and evidence are in Lucas's inbox now. He can handle the rest. It seemed Julie would meet the end she deserved. Michael jabbed a finger at me, full of aggrieved pride. "All thanks to your visionary brother. Lucas only got a few scrapes. I called you for the spectacle, not to make you fret over him." "Oh, and those rice wine dumplings in his hand, were they for you?" I asked for a bite and he glared at me. I should have known. "I feel awful, I can't go on." He writhed on the bed like a salted fish. I had to soothe him. "Sorry, bro. I misunderstood you. My brother is the best in the world, how could he cross a moral red line so easily?" Michael gave me a sidelong look. "That's not what you were saying 5 minutes ago. A misunderstanding. Total misunderstanding." He snorted again. "So, who's more important, your brother or Lucas?" "My brother, of course." No sooner were the words out than he jerked his chin toward the doorway. Lucas stood there, a square of gauze on his forehead, who knew how long he'd been listening. Michael sniffed. "See? She said it. I'm number one." Lucas stepped in, his attitude flipped 180, I couldn't tell if he was acting or holding back. "Lily's right. Big brother first." That big brother made Michael purr. "Didn't you say the debt was cancelled? Put it in writing, sign and stamp it." Lucas picked up a marker. On Michael's cast he scrawled a bold paragraph, then signed his name. Michael flicked on a flashlight, inspected the handiwork from every angle, and beamed. For the moment, he forgot his earlier sulk. "Deal. From the beginning, I thought I was just here to repay a debt. But somewhere along the way, he became my home. He taught me how to let someone in. And I taught him. Even broken wings can still choose where to land. Especially when it's love."